let's have a conversation.
What's happening, everybody? Good morning. We are live. So, we're going to get into this Challenge World Championships episode 12 recap. So, we're almost here at the end of the Challenge World Championships season. I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but I know that a Challenge All Stars 4 has already recorded. So, if it stays true to form of what has been happening over the last few months, I'm kind of guessing that Challenge All Stars 4 is going to drop sometime soon after this Challenge World Championship season ends. And then we have another season that is currently being recorded of the Mainstay Challenge. So, anyone who's a big Challenge fan, it seems like we're not going to have too many big breaks like we used to have, and I'm okay with it because the Paramount Plus challenge and the MTV challenge to me are quite different. They still have some of the same elements, but it's a different show. So, different show, different people that they cast. So, there's little differences with that. But let's get right into the episode. Jordan and Kaz, I have that they're still at odds, apparently. I put apparently because we left off with the last episode where it seemed like they had hashed out those differences because Jordan and Kaz had a conversation where Kaz was basically telling Jordan that he was dominating their partnership and not giving her a say in the decisions that are being made. She didn't like that. And it seemed anyways, like they had moved forward or whatever, but I guess she was still feeling this way. And it carried on into the next episode. But it could also just be the way that they edited it, like they needed it for the drama of the episode or whatever. It could have been something that did conclude, but the way it was broken up was as if they talked about it, hashed it out, but then it came back up again. I don't know. We never know because these shows are all produced. Emily and Yes are talking about their deal with Jordan and Kaz, so I knew something was going to end up happening with that deal. It did surprise me how exactly it played out, but I knew that something was going to come back up about that deal that they made. And if you don't remember the deal that Emily and Yes made with Jordan and Kaz, the deal was Jordan said to Emily and Yes, if you don't say our names this week, next week, if you guys are ahead of us, we will lay down and let you win. I didn't like that. And also, I found that was kind of a real technical way. It was real technical and specific. So I didn't really know how that was going to work out because I said, what if they're not in first? I was saying to myself, okay, what if they're in third and Jordan and Kaz are in first? Because technically that wouldn't be breaking the deal, but maybe there was more said in terms of specifics of the deal. And again, they just didn't show it to us. So then we cut to this conversation with Kaz and Jordan, where Kaz once again tells Jordan that she doesn't feel good with this partnership. She hates letting him down, and she feels like he thinks that she's a bad partner. So he's listening very intently, and he's basically telling her, like, no, you're not a bad partner. I love being your partner. Again, this is the same thing that happened with Jordan and Anissa in the Ride or Die season, where Jordan gets really intense in his partnerships. Like he just intensely wants to win. And I guess the difference between Jordan now and Jordan of back in the day is he could admit that he's too much sometimes. So he admits it. He's like, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. You're a great partner. I love being your partner. And I think he had a similar conversation with Anissa, if I'm not mistaken. in the ride or die season. So this is just kind of Jordan, honestly. At least now he can admit to whatever you want to call it, character flaw, I guess. It's funny because when I met Anissa at Challenge Mania in Philly, I was talking to her about that, and she was basically like, I was talking to her about being partnered with Jordan, and she was like, "Oh my God, I deserved 2 awards for making it that far with Jordan." She's like, "I love Jordan. I love him to death as a person. We're close and everything like that, but being his partner is hard." And I could imagine. So Sarah, they cut to Sarah and it shows her talking to her husband and son. That was pretty cute, the son, but the husband seemed like he wasn't too happy with her being away that long. They didn't really show that too much. He just kind of made a little comment, but then it showed her reaction. So here we show her after that conversation talking to Danny. And I realized why production set it up this way. If we're just looking at what we've been seeing, we would think that Sarah's closest ally and closest friend in the house is Danny, because that's what we're seeing. Her and Danny have been talking from the beginning. Her and Danny, excuse me, her and Danny have been talking from the beginning, and they were on a previous season together, the Challenge USA, and Emily just met Sarah. So you would think that even though Emily and Sarah are friends, Danny's friendship is a priority for her. So Danny is talking to her and basically comforting her, like, I can relate, you know. He was like, your husband is obviously very strong. Like, he knew that this is the life he signed up for when he married you, and he can handle it, and basically just focus on getting the money and bringing it back to your family. Like, it's almost over. And it seems like she was comforted by this conversation that she had with Danny. It didn't show her having a conversation with Emily about it, but she probably did, and they just didn't show it because it would make it less dramatic of what was going to happen later if they did. So we get to this daily challenge, and in the daily challenge, there's more swimming. You're climbing up a ladder, and then you're pulling a string correlating to a team. So basically, the first team that gets pulled is going to finish last, and that team is going to go into the elimination. Now, TJ tells them before they start this challenge that this is the last challenge before the final. So pulling that string for that team is going to have huge implications because somebody is going to go home right before the final. And I remember Johnny Bananas always says, the only thing that is worse than going out first is going out right before the final. And I would feel the same way about that. So Emily and Yes get there first, obviously, because Emily is the swimmer and everything. So the first team that they get out is Troy and Casey. Troy and Casey are going back into an elimination again. I think this will be the third time in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So Jordan and Kaz pull the next flag, and they pull Emily and Yes, and Emily is like, I'm pissed. And Jordan is like, my promise was just that I'm not going to win. My promise was not that I was going to help you win. But technically, what they actually showed us was that he did say that he would let them win. I mean, contracts in the challenge house, they always say on Big Brother, like, checks bounce in the Big Brother house. I guess checks bounce in the challenge house. I feel like if I'm Jordan, I would be just trying to win. Like if I'm ahead, I'm just gonna try to win. Who cares? It's the last week. I know that he's trying to play the game honorable and all that, but he lied before. He lied to Fessy. It's not like he's always played this straight as an arrow game. So, but hey, that's how he felt that he was doing what was best for him and also honoring his deal at the same time. So, tis what it is. So, anyways, at the end of this whole thing, yeah, our winners. We get to a stalemate. We get to another stalemate. So all the teams don't want to go against their friends. So we end up having another stalemate situation where all the teams vote for themselves. And that means that we're going to invoke the stalemate rule, which 2 times in a row has meant that the team in power, which in this case was Sarah and Theo, because Jordan and Kaz let Sarah and Theo win. So Sarah and Theo were the winners of the daily challenge. And everybody was thinking, okay, since this has happened twice in a row, if we stalemate, Sarah and Theo are going to pick who goes into the elimination. And it shows that Sarah is having a tough time. And Sarah actually tells Danny that if I had to choose between you and Tori or Emily and Yes to go in, I would choose you and Tori. Danny is pissed about this, and I would be too, because it seemed like they were working together all season, but then she became fast friends with Emily and now wants to protect Emily. I'm not sure why Jordan and Kaz are not even being discussed as an option, because it seemed like they all wanted to get out Jordan from the beginning. I don't know if Jordan made a deal with Theo and Sarah, but I don't remember it. I don't think I saw it if they did. And then it showed the little confessional thing where Tori looked visibly mad at Danny, like because of Danny putting his trust in Sarah. And Tori is like, "Oh, we'll see," So when we get to the elimination, I was so excited that finally there was a consequence to the stalemate instead of an extra power given to the winning team. And the consequence of the stalemate was that the losing team that is down there, which was Casey and Troy, gets to pick any team to go in there in this elimination. And the elimination is a hall brawl. So they get to get their direct revenge because they pick Emily and Yes to go into this hall brawl with them. So I'm looking at the stats. I mean, Casey is excellent in physical challenges and wrestling and stuff. And Troy, Yes, has an advantage on Troy in like size, possibly strength, but Troy is feisty. Like Troy is pretty tough and pretty strong as well. So it's best 2 out of 3. So in the first round, Troy pulls an upset. Oh, something I noticed about the hall brawl is that they had done that double-decker hall brawl thing, I think in Ride or Dies, where they both go at the same time and then they're pushing the bar. They took that away, and it was just a good old-fashioned regular hall brawl where they bang into each other and all this stuff. So I don't know what the reason was for that. Maybe they didn't like the new hall brawl that they did. I assumed and thought that that was to prevent injuries, but maybe they don't care. Who knows? Maybe I read too much into why they had taken that double-decker away. So in round 1, Troy actually beats Yes. So I guess because Troy had a good strategy, he's shorter and he went low to the ground. He went for the feet and the shins, and he wins the first one in an upset. Emily and Casey, I think, is pretty even because Emily's bigger than Casey in terms of height, and she's pretty strong. And Emily just came out there and I wouldn't say dominated, but she did very well in the first round. So they were tied 1-1. I think TJ flipped a coin or something to see who was going to do the tiebreaker, and it was the women. And Casey had just lost to Emily. I still believed in Casey's ability to do this, though. But it wasn't a sure thing because Emily had just beaten her seconds ago. So they go back in there. Casey does very well in the second round that she did against Emily, takes her out. So Troy and Casey definitely earned their way to the final. I think they went in 3 times in a row. They won all 3, 2 out of the 3 in pretty dominating fashion. The third one looked like it was a battle, which was this one we just saw, but they made it through it. And now, here we are. The next episode is the final. So we got Theo and Sarah. We got Danny and Tori. We got Kaz and Jordan. And we got Casey and Troy. So we have 4 teams. And I guess the top team, because they haven't showed us anything of a split yet. It seems like this team thing will last through the end. And the winning team will take home the $500K. Now, who do I think is the most advantaged team out of who's remaining? It's hard to say because in the preview, it looks like Troy and Casey have some problems because if I was picking without seeing a preview, I might say that they are one of the stronger teams and one of the most well-rounded teams. I kind of like this Final Four, even though all my favorites are out, but just in terms of it feels kind of like a toss-up because it all depends on how they work together. Everybody left, I think, is strong, except for when it comes to Theo and swimming. But aside from that part of it, I think everybody left on the show is strong. And I think that it's not predictable. That's what I'll say. It's not predictable, and I'm looking forward to seeing next week. I don't know if it's going to be a 1-episode finale or 2, but we'll see what happens. It was another good episode. It's been a good season so far. And tune in next time for my next recap. Thank y'all for tuning in. And please make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified when I drop some more great content. Coming up, I have 2 more videos to record. I think that that's the way that I'm going to be doing this on Wednesdays, like back to back, because it's easier that way than for me to try to fit them in individually throughout the day or throughout the week. It's just more efficient for me to do it this way. All right, talk to y'all later.